Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Can you hear me out there? Is this working? Okay, well, I know. You can probably hear me anyway. Okay. Okay. Well, I want to welcome Lily Eberhard and Callie Pinella. Thank you for being here. These are our student reps for this school year. So we're going to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. And normally have one of you guys lead the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. Okay, Linda, roll call. Here.
Dr. Brian Sherry.
Here.
Kristen Campenzi.
Here.
James Hewitt.
Here.
Glenn Marka.
Here.
Jennifer Swift.
Here.
Jennifer Ray.
Here.
Okay. All right, we need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any comments from the public? Agenda items. You'll have another opportunity to do this. Right. She'll just add on. That's all right. Sounds good to me. All right. Right on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Randall. Thank you, everybody, for coming on this blustery evening, for Superior Hills for hosting. Mrs. Anderson, I would like to start with you. Thank you. And happy birthday, Mrs. Anderson.
49 and holding. I'm just going to stay right here. Welcome to Superior Hills. And I hope you're cozy because it's cozy in here. I know you're a little tight, so thank you. Part of our staff is here to just enjoy having you here in our building, and we have some presentations from some staff members. I'm not going to take the stage, they are. I encourage you to take a walk around the building before you leave tonight because it's absolutely beautiful in here. The student work and all kinds of lovely displays, and you know how elementary school is, it gives you so much joy. So please take a walk around before you leave. But I'm going to start with Erin Angeli, who's going to talk about SEL and art. Then we'll hear from Mindy Langton and Terry Tamlin, and Nikki Pittman will wrap up. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, good evening. So I'm actually Erin Porter now. So my name's Erin Porter. I am a second-year teacher here at Superior Hills. I have the unique opportunity to teach both art and SEL. And I have really enjoyed taking on that role both last year and again this year. What I have for you, I'm sorry for those of you that can't see, I created a check-in chart with 4 of the biggest feelings that I'm experiencing here tonight. During my SEL classes, we always begin with a check-in. And this is a great time for all of my students to really think about how they're feeling. They can share any valuable information about how things are going with them. And the first one that I wanted to talk about tonight is the feeling proud. I feel so proud to work for a school district that values our students' social and emotional health. I can't say that all educators feel this way, but I'm very proud that we have a program or programs like SEL, Positive Action, Mindfulness, Learn. All of these classes that we're giving our students are paramount to our students' long-term success. The second feeling that I'm having is happiness. I've really enjoyed teaching both art and SEL. Something that I didn't really realize when I took on this role is that these two subjects really correlate together and they can be intertwined. When I teach about famous artists in art class, like Frida Kahlo, Michel Basquiat, Pablo Picasso, all of these artists were self-taught. And they had to overcome many, many challenges, a lot of adversity, a lot of negativity, self-doubt to become successful. And when you think about topics like overcoming challenges, perseverance, self-expression, how to identify your emotions, those are SEL skills that are also being taught in my art room. So all of those things that artists face, they express themselves in art. And that's something that I've been teaching and really pounding down to my students so that they understand that art can be a form of therapy, a form of relaxation that a lot of those famous artists do. The third feeling that I'm having is grateful. I'm really proud to work here at Superior Hills where we have a staff of professionals that really work well together. I work really closely with Mrs. Jane Kyle, our counselor. Her and I do a really nice job of balancing SEL, but also going to her if I ever have concerns about students. I like to inform our staff in the gen ed classrooms of weekly and monthly topics that I'm covering in SEL so that they can follow through with that same language and information in their classrooms so that our students are not just getting SEL in my room, but also they're taking it a step further in their classrooms as well. During our MTSS kickoff, we learned a lot about John Hattie. And he suggests that collective teacher efficacy accelerates student achievement. And I'm confident that with the collaboration, with the feeling of familyness here at Superior Hills, that we're doing just that. We're doing what's best for our students. And the last feeling that I'm having is determination. As a result of COVID, we've seen a shift in our students. And as generations of children are changing and evolving, we as teachers and educators must also learn to adapt to those changes. Because we play a really important role in helping our students form their identities, build healthy relationships with not only themselves but with other people. I feel with the inclusion of SEL in our multi-tiered system of approach that we will better support our students for what is to come. I'm not saying we're going to see this overnight change in our students, not even within the next year, but I'm confident that with the inclusion of these classes that we are going to see a better success rate in our students, because I know as a young girl I would have really benefited from social emotional learning. I always end my SEL classes with a mindful moment. It's just a time for us to refocus and recenter before we go back into the general ed classroom. So for my mindful moment today, I came across this quote by Stanley Greenspan, and it says, "All children have within them the potential to be great kids. It's our job to create a world where this potential can flourish." So with that, I would like to thank you for your time. Just know that my classroom is always open to any visitors. So please feel free in whatever capacity you would like to come see what's going on. Thanks.
All right, I'm Mindy Longton, and this is Terry Tamlin. We are so grateful to have Erin. She is amazing, so she is a gift to our building, so I just wanted to add that. Thank you, Erin. Well, this is my first year teaching Title I. I've taught JK, K1, 2, and 5th grade, so I've been able to kind of get the scope of the building, and it's been fun to take on this role as a Title I teacher. So with that, we are doing the MTSS. Our district has taken that on, and it's been great to have Terry working with me as she did Title I last year, so she's now our instructional coach. And I'm so grateful for that as well, because it's a big job to learn what I'm doing and go through, and it's been awesome to have Terry. We work very close together. She's been a great mentor to me. And with that, we're working really hard to
collect the data that we needed to make our data-driven decisions for our school. And so this year, with Kinder Camp, we brought in a team and assessed all of the kindergartners and made those decisions. And that was really made a big difference. And we saw a lot of great things come out of that. So I was grateful for that opportunity to do that. And then after that, we've been working to assess all the students who fell below the 30th percentile on the NWA, and then we've been working to progress monitor them. With that, we have created a spreadsheet that we share with our entire staff so that we can all make decisions moving forward with that. So anyone has access to that data so that we can continue to look and dive deeper into that and make those decisions to help the kids that need us the most. And so luckily with Terry, she's been doing PLCs in our building with all of the students in or all the teachers in our building. And that has been great. Again, we work together to talk about like the data that I'm seeing and what I think she could do to help maybe some other students that I am not actually seeing. So we worked really close together, and I'll let Terry talk more about those PLCs.
Thank you. So as Mindy said, Terry Tamlin, so thank you right away to the board for supporting the decision to move towards having an instructional coach in every building. It's a very new role for me, but it's really been great to work. As Erin already mentioned, we have an amazing staff here. So sliding into the role of being a coach hasn't been super hard yet, right? But some of the challenges are yet to come. One of the things I will say from being in Mindy's shoes as a Title I teacher, Title I, they have a team, right, across the district, but you never have anyone in the building that's looking at the same data for the kids who really wants to be the quote-unquote data dork and really like look at all of the things. So I am so excited to have a partner with me in the building that I can look at the data and we can really dive deep, as she already said. We can make those decisions, and then being able to take some of that data based, when we're going towards the MTSS, being able to look at what kinds of decisions we might need to make at a tier 1 classroom level, but also at a tier 2 level for the kids who are getting extra support through our title program, but also working within those PLCs with teachers to say what kind of interventions can we put in place in the classroom. So those kids are also getting, they're getting that whole class instruction, they're getting an intervention from their teacher, they're getting extra support through title, and we're working towards win time, which is what I need, so that we can also take some of that intervention and push it towards enrichment and accelerate some of those high performers at each grade level. So really using that PLC time to prioritize some of the standards that we want to make some instructional changes, and that's been really great. As of now, our PLCs are meeting once a week. We're meeting for about 45-ish minutes, give or take here and there, depending on the day. They've been really well received. We've been working really hard together and finding ways as we work with our scheduling to find ways to get specials a PLC time and get our special ed and our title and just find all those different unique ways to build teams together and have those professional conversations. Just want to make sure. Another really big thing I just want to highlight, I won't keep talking, I have a gift to not stop, but I know with the MTSS, we're really working towards that data review process and really looking at those 3 phases of being able to activate and engage and like looking at the data, exploring it, discovering it, being able to organize and kind of make some decisions. And with Mindy in those grade level data meetings, and even in our PLCs, we've been able to start putting that practice into play and being able to start with going through and practicing those phases. And that's fully supported through MTSS as well. So again, I can't say enough thank you for supporting the decision. I know that Erin had mentioned that maybe we don't see change right away, but I think that in the next year to a couple years going forward, I think that it's really going to be reflective in what we see with our kids. So thank you again.
I'm going to piggyback like you guys did, that we're really fortunate to have Terry and Mindy in our building. They're such an amazing team. Julia, do you want to figure out how to cast this to here? And while she does that, I'm a digital script collection of the visuals for you guys. There's all kinds of. Here, you guys can have these ones. Pass these out if you want to know.
I don't. I'm gonna need Mindy now. I know, but
I'll start talking while they try to figure it out. So I'm Nikki Heitman. I teach the full day early childhood special ed class for the district. The junior kindergarten teacher, Sarah Jude, would have been here tonight, but she lives in West Ishpeming and she had to drive home to let her dog out. And I said, please don't come back because I'm going to be more worried about you coming back. So this is my lovely slide. Doesn't have all the great animations that Aaron's had, but we're baking the world a better place. You'll understand. So starting last year, we what we're doing now began as a result of my class last year was made up of wonderful kids, sweetest kids you've ever met, but they were busy. And we know that an early childhood special ed class is made up completely of kids with IEPs. They're all typically receiving speech and language services, and that doesn't leave any models in the class to model appropriate behavior, to model speech and language, if those are things that a lot of the kids are struggling with. So last year's class, we were looking for creative solutions, and Sarah Jude came to me, and Stephanie was really wonderful and let us try combining our classes. So it started as a 45-minute thing we would do once a day last year. We would cut each class in half, and I would take half of the kids for 45 minutes, and she would take half of the kids for 45 minutes. And we found that the behaviors that I was seeing in my class just dropped drastically when they would go into Sarah's room or when half of her class was with me because they had peers to model. So coming into this year, the other thing we know is that junior kindergarten is the only grade in the building, that there's only one class. So she's very limited in who she can collaborate with as well. She's not really kindergarten and didn't really have, she's kind of an island. So we decided to co-teach. And going into this year, we knew we wanted to start right off the bat and we wanted to do it more frequently. So as of right now, we do it twice a day on Mondays and Wednesdays, once a day Tuesdays and Thursdays, because eventually the second slot on Tuesdays and Thursdays will be that what I need time that Terry and Mindy were talking about, and my kids and Sarah's kids will actually be, it'll be my class, Sarah's class, and the kindergarten classes. Whatever kids need, we'll all be combining and sharing kids. If they need, to work on fine motor skills or a specific targeted literacy or math skill, they might be in my room or the junior kindergarten class or the kindergarten class. So we've found that in doing this, sometimes they come in, like I teach a social studies lesson and Sarah teaches science. Other times they come and we free play, which has so many great learning opportunities built in, which you'll see in the next few slides. And then we also, in the afternoons on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do 10-minute centers and we'll switch. So she'll have 6 centers going in her room and I'll have 6 in mine. And over the course of 2 weeks, all the kids get to go to all the centers. And we're focusing on fine motor, literacy, math, all kinds of great things. But yeah, so we noticed that in doing this, it's allowed for collaborating, planning together, problem solving, not just in one class, but both, no matter who has maybe a struggling student or quirky behavior sometimes that they're trying to figure out. We have a teammate. We can share resources. We have peer models for language. It allows us to make intentional choices about which kids we're pairing together and more opportunities for targeted instruction if we have a group of kids collectively that are at a higher level or need more help. And it provides kids just with the best pre-K experience. So this is us baking the world a better place today. the kids were in my room and they had created a bakery. And you can see, and this is one of our staff members' daughters too, she's taking an order. And that's what all those little papers are. They were taking orders. So some of those have letters, some of them have legible words, some of them have just scribbles, which is a pre-writing skill. I have one student who he was struggling, he was just drawing cookies. He was like, and he probably produced 50 different orders of cookies. And the kids were working together, they had Play-Doh and they were cooking Play-Doh. I'll tell you, even I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you guys the Play-Doh and I'm gonna let you mix the colors. They don't know that I gave them all like similar color, like they're all warm colors, that if they mix into one, it's not a terrible color, because I can't handle that. And here, they were helping each other write. When one didn't know, like they were spelling their names for each other, we had all the letters on a thing, and they were explaining to each other what the letters look like and pointing them out on the menu. They're cooking in the oven and counting their cookies. They had dollar bills that they had cut out, so they were working on their fine motor skills. And it was just a really great learning opportunity full of turn taking, social emotional, language, math, literacy. It was fabulous. Taking all their, and that's our little menu that they were looking at. And the little girl on the right, I took my order. I said, I'd like a cake. And she was like, I can't make a cake. And she meant she couldn't write cake. And so I pointed to it on the menu and I said, well, this is the word cake right here. Why don't you just try your best? And I don't know if you can see in that, and it's somewhere in here. She wrote cake. And I was like, see, look at that. I don't know. It's the one that the C looks like a U. There's one that the C looks like a U because she was looking at it from the side. And so, in closing, our bakery was closed at the end. They were like, we need an open and close sign. And that's all. Thank you for the opportunity to share. And I'm hoping that we have more opportunities for collaboration.
Thank you very much. That was great. Wonderful to see everybody again. Very proud of all that you're doing. So well done. And next on, under the superintendent's report, I don't know if you have quite the props and the cute stories and pictures, Alex, but good luck, buddy. Alex Tizio with an athletics update.
It's hard to believe that we're already at the end of a fall athletics season, but you know, they seem to go by faster and faster every year. And you know, taking a look at the calendar, our sports teams have been practicing and competing since August 7th, which is almost a full month before the school year began. But you know, we've had a lot of great team and individual accomplishments this fall, and just want to take you through some of those and provide you with an update as we rapidly move toward the conclusion of the fall 2022 athletics season. So far, our boys and girls cross country teams have both earned Great Northern Conference championships. They're both going to be moving on and competing in the MHSA UP Division I finals that'll take place over in Gladstone here this weekend. And coming out of this past weekend, our boys soccer team earned their 15th consecutive UP tournament championship, earning a 21-2-2 record on the season. And they've also been unbeaten in their last 19 games, which is just pretty incredible. But awesome to see, and a testament to all the effort that both the coaches and the players have put into that program. And also our girls tennis program and team this year earned a runner-up finish in the MHSA UP Division I finals that were held in Kingsford. And this is a drastic improvement from you know, the group that we had last year that went through the process of rapidly gaining that match experience and having had the summer and then the fall period to have Coach Thompson and Coach McFerrin work with them and develop. And you know, coming off of a team that earned a 5th place finish at the event last year to then being closely contested with Negaunee for the UP championship was great to see, and again, a testament to the coaches and student athletes. overall, our participation numbers are pretty close to where we have been over the past few years. We're at 276 total student athletes across 8 total athletics programs here this fall, and that is just 14 down from where we were in the fall 2021 season. Kind of some of the trends that we're seeing within the participation is really just we had a bubble of large senior classes across our teams last year. For example, we had 22 seniors on our football team last year, and this year we have 11. Similar within the sport of boys soccer, volleyball, across the board. We had coming out of a large senior class last year that, I don't think that there's any specific reason, but just down a little bit overall with our participation here this fall. But in terms of some of the special events that we've hosted here this fall, we've hosted 3 total cross-country meets, one being the Dale Phillips Invitational that had 20 total teams in attendance and is named in honor of legendary coach Dale Phillips. And so having the opportunity for him to come back and participate in the awards ceremony with also being able to be there and see a show of hands to see the number of student athletes, myself included, that have either, been coached by Dale Phillips or, just been able to be around him. He's, been a part of running pretty much UP wide with quite a few student athletes. So that was a lot of fun there. As part of our home varsity football game against Gladstone, we had the opportunity to hold a reunion for our undefeated 1957 team. And so we had, I believe it was 8 total team members come out for that and honored them at halftime, and that was a lot of fun there. And then also as part of the homecoming game, we were able to honor our 3 Pendle Wall recipients in between the first and second quarters. So another fun kind of in-game piece that we were able to hold. As I mentioned, this past weekend, we hosted the 2022 UP Boys Soccer Tournament that had a Division I bracket and a Division II bracket with 9 total teams in attendance and a lot of people down at the Kauffman Sports Complex. So a lot of volunteers that were part of that, making that event possible, and just great to be able to host that here in Marquette. And then as part of our volleyball schedule, we hosted a varsity tournament, a JV tournament, and then last week, as part of our home match against Manistee, it was our designated pink out and breast cancer awareness game. And all of our student athletes wearing pink. Manistee got into the effort as well. And so some fun there as well. And coming out of the volleyball season, we'll also be hosting the Division IV quarterfinal matchup. So Marquette obviously not being a part of that, but still just a lot of fun to be able to showcase our facilities and put on a good show for those 2 competing teams in that match. We do have 2 first-year head coaches with our outstanding group of fall sport coaches. Derek Marr took the reins of our boys and girls cross-country programs this year, and really can't say enough about the job that he's done. He brings just a wide variety of perspective, both from the collegiate level, the high school level, seems like everywhere in between. He's a exercise science, exercise physiology professor at Northern, and has just done a phenomenal job relating to our students, finding new ways to motivate them, meeting them where they're at, and you can sure see the difference, not only coming out of the boys track season where he was head coach for the first time this past spring, but then moving into the boys and girls cross country season. Has just done a great job there. And then our first year head coach of our dance team is Jamie LaHillier, and she's done a phenomenal job of growing numbers within that team specifically. She took the team from 9 members last year to 14 this year, and has done a great job reaching out to the local dance studios, really just picking up where Alicia Beauchamp left off last year and taking things kind of to that next level, which is what we want out of those first year head coaches. Some key support teammates that have been just a huge and monumental help coming out of this fall season, as they are every season. Our athletic secretary, Stacy Kangas, who just keeps everything together for us with all the record keeping, just instrumental in everything that we do. Our athletic trainers from UP Rehab, Mark Stonerock, Nicole Coleman, and Merlin Borgiali, at every one of our home events to provide that hopefully not too often needed care, but are there in case of any issues with student athlete health and well-being. And then also from the transportation office, Deb Fury and Amy Goodson have been a huge help in trying to maximize the number of our athletics trips that we're having accommodated by the transportation office. Picking up on another year of our Kiwanis Student Athlete of the Month program, it allows us to recognize the notable athletic and academic accomplishments of 20 student athletes during the course of the academic year. These recognitions are provided at breakfast ceremonies that are held for students, coaches, as well as their parents and guardians. And so far we've had one of these breakfast ceremonies with our September 2022 Athletes of the Month, which were Kaya Miller from the girls tennis team and Peter Klausner from the MSHS varsity football team. We did have another school record broken here this fall, and that was senior Max Dawson from the boys soccer team. And he has now eclipsed 100 career goals. He had 102 over the course of his 4-year career with our boys soccer team. And so he's not only broken the career goals mark, but he also broke the single season goals record last year as a junior when he scored 39 goals in the season. So pretty darn impressive there. And just some trends, concerns, and updates coming out of the fall 2022 season. A continuing item of debate among UP athletic directors and schools is just the continuing format of the UP finals versus potentially being able to look at those sports inclusions in the MHSA statewide tournaments. And so this past, it was just a couple of weeks ago, the MHSA issued a survey to UP athletic directors that resulted in roughly 2/3 of the group saying that they prefer the current UP finals format in the sports sports of interest designated as cross country, swimming and diving, and track and field. Coming out of that, the next item that we'll be looking at is just for myself as chair of the UP Athletic Directors Association, is just going around and encouraging coaches within those sports to better organize themselves into coaches associations so that we can get some more sport-specific feedback that isn't so much, athletic directors, whether they're talking to coaches, not talking to coaches, and getting some of that genuine feedback so that we can make more educated decisions on what's going to work best for our UP schools. And so that will be a continuing item of debate as we move forward through this year, and I'm sure for coming years it won't come with a quick and hasty decision. Just taking a look at how wrestling was worked into the statewide tournament. That was a process that spanned multiple years, and has a pretty thick file over at the MHSA office to go along with it. So, a litigation update for the UP boys and girls soccer situation as we look to again get included into the MHSA statewide tournaments. And after a promising summer, the allowance of UP schools into the statewide tournament ultimately stalled with the plaintiff of the Title IX case, which is Communities for Equity. At first they were open to the idea of UP schools getting back into the statewide tournament, but then after a little bit of discussion they decided that they wanted to leverage the situation a little bit and work in another topic of discussion, which was forcing MHSA member schools to designate their middle school athletic seasons, and something that the MHSA is very opposed to doing and imposing upon their member schools. And so since then, the MHSA Executive Director Mark Buell's worked through those issues with the group, with things again looking positive for the 2023-2024 season. So hopefully we'll get some good news in between now and then that have our teams ready to go and into the MHSA statewide tournament for next year. And the last issue of a topic that I wanted to bring your way is just the information that Mr. Sedgwick has already provided you with, which is the conference realignment for football and football specifically. That'll go into effect next year. And so that has Marquette being worked into the Big North Conference for the sport of football only. Doesn't impact any other sport. And although this sounds like a monumental change, with the GNC going away, us being worked into the Big North, scheduling wise, all that it does for us has us playing the majority of the same schools. Sounds a lot different. The schedules themselves look very similar. And so this will have the GNC, as I had mentioned, with Marquette, Gladstone, Escanaba, Kingsford, and Menominee dissolving after the conclusion of this season. And our new conference will have members Marquette, Alpena, Cadillac, Escanaba, Gaylord, Petoskey, and Sault Ste. Marie. And so within the sport of football, this really provides us with some long-term stability, which is crucial within the sport of football. And right now, the MHSA playoff qualification process has it essential for schools. It rewards them for playing similarly sized schools within their division, even rewarded more for playing schools that are larger than them. And so this takes us from a format that had us playing primarily smaller schools to playing all Division III schools, which we are also classified in. And so we'll also keep games with Escanaba moving with us into the Big North. We'll keep that game from the previous GNC. We'll also be playing Kingsford and Gladstone also in non-conference matchups. And so out of the 4 previous Great Northern Conference games, we'll be keeping 3 of those. And so the only GNC school will not play going forward is Menominee. And so potentially down the road, maybe that works itself out. But for the next few seasons, we'll be scheduling without them. And so those other Great Northern Conference members, Gladstone, Kingsford, Menominee, have been accepted in the Westpac. And so nobody's left high and dry as part of this process. And so we've all kind of worked together, kept each other informed as to what we're going to be doing and why, and really just kind of makes sense for all of us at this point. And so really just a good move for us, and again, something that provides us with some long-term scheduling stability. So that's it for my report. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Tizio. Ms. Ersbaumer.
Hello, everyone. I first want to say thank you to Stephanie and the Superior Hills crew, because I was sitting reflecting in my chair thinking my room needs to be right there, and it was so small. But one of the coolest things I just heard was Terry say was she was my student. And that's one thing in this district that I've been blessed to see it all. So I'm glad that we're sitting here tonight. We get to see what we get to see at the high school level. Tonight I'm just going over our overnight and extended trips to get your approval, of course. And this is something we do every year. We had a little pause period during that, but it's because all of these teachers have practiced and went on many field trips with our little ones, and then we get to take that up to the next level. And so I'm proud to show those that we've got back since COVID, whether students are part of HOSA and Health Act, or they're in the World Language Department, or they're in robotics. We have so many opportunities, and we're very lucky for that. And I know each time I come to you, I don't read through all of this because you don't want to hear me say all of that, but we do always hit the ones that are new to our list. So Miss Jensen is here, and she wanted to talk about the Green Bay trip. And I see my spelling error now that I give that to you. So do you want to talk a little bit about it, or?
Yeah, although actually that was the one that I wanted to clarify.
We'll
I'll just pop a real quick, yeah. So the last time that our Costa Rican exchange students visited us in 2019, they flew into Green Bay, and we took a bus there, spent an overnight, spent some time in Green Bay, toured Lambeau Field, went to the mall, did all the things that Ubers do when we go to Green Bay, and then came home. And so this time they're actually flying into Marquette, and so we had looked into doing an overnight to Green Bay. We've actually changed that to, and I only recently changed that, I'm sorry, we've had so many moving parts, to it's just going to be a day trip. That saves us a lot of money on hotel things, and since they're coming here, that's more convenient for us. So the one that I did change, or that I did keep the same, was for when we go there over spring break, but I don't know if that's in the mix for this one.
That's for all of them. No, I have all of them. Yeah. So really, I'd like to open if you have any other questions, but none of these are new except. Yeah. But thank you for usually just giving us approval for all of these, because our kids get a lot of great experiences. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ersbaumer. So I have a few other items on my superintendent report, but it's a little blustery outside, and I know some of these folks might be wanting to take off. You're welcome to stay for my report. It's not very exciting, but if you want to hit the road, I got to fire this presentation up. I'm not going to be offended. And open seats, anybody who is staying, I know these people. I'm telling you, I know. I knew I'd get a response.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other folks want to shift over, you're welcome to. I'm going to be given a PowerPoint, so you won't be able to see the slides, but your call. All right, so the first thing I'd like to discuss is the snow and ice removal bids. We had already approved all but 3 buildings at our last meeting. We had MSHS, the bus garage, and Cherry Creek that had not been bid. We rebid those schools, received 1 bid from Smith Paving for all 3. The bids were quite fair. You can see them in your notes. With the prices, the increase in prices of everything right now, it's very refreshing to see, bids that are coming back so reasonably priced. So I would like to recommend for your consideration that you approve the bids for MSHS, Cherry Creek, and the auxiliary building to Smith Paving. Prices are in your packet. Next item, subrates. We want to remain competitive with the other districts in our area, so I'm recommending an increase in subrates as listed in your packets. And if anybody in the audience is curious, I'm happy to go over those increases later. The subrates, one thing to note, the subrates for teachers are increasing. There's also a slight change in process. Instead of awarding extra $100 for every if you work 6 days in a time period, we just raised it to a flat rate regardless, from 90 to 110. The other rates are hourly rates and increasing incrementally depending on the base wage. And again, I can list those if anybody is interested. One of the many grants we have coming our way are Section 98C grants, which are intended to address learning loss. I'm quite pleased with Superior Hills' presentation because they stole a lot of my presentation with some of the ideas that we've already put in place, or the initiatives we've already put in place to address learning loss from COVID, and the fact that they were highlighting them, not just in theory, but in practice, I thought was really great. So I think I can move pretty quick through this presentation, but this is a requirement for applying for a Section 98C funds. It's also, I think, good practice for us to review data at a district level. And some of this data is similar to what you saw in February from our Student Achievement Coordinator, Kathleen Stiles, who's sitting in the audience. And so forgive me if I go too fast. Please just stop me if you have any questions. Here's just some notes. We had to have this presentation by October 30th, so I was glad that I did not have to cancel school this morning when driving around at the wee hours of the morning. And the rest of it is a lot of legislative language that you're not going to be concerned with. Here's, I guess, where I would like to focus my attention. The, implementation of a variety of initiatives, as I said before, to address the learning loss. I'm not going to read to you, but we heard from instructional coaches. We heard about some of the great things that are happening with MTSS. I talked about curricular resources, early literacy supports, TAs. I've recently approved teacher assistants in the elementaries to help with some of our youngest students, which Ms. Heitman mentioned a little bit. In regard to her programming, and also an additional roving subs. We have summer school and after school tutoring, which I believe to be incredibly impactful for addressing learning loss. Under MTSS implementation and addressing mental health, we've talked quite a bit about the forum. We've had 2 meetings. We have another one on November 7th, engaging the community to address student wellness through a variety of task forces, which are really covering a wide array of different topics or different challenges that students are facing. Social emotional learning, you heard from Erin, Miss Angeli about the SEL course at the elementary, and I'm excited to see that doing so well. I was part of getting that up and running here while I was principal, and they're doing phenomenal work. That's now across our district. We have full-time elementary counselors in our elementary schools, which was a huge add. We went from two to 5 social workers in our district. We have an SEL screener, which we're using as part of our data review to actually look at more than just academics. Talked a lot about MTSS. We have a program with our title in our Native American program, our Native American Education program, our Title VI. I always want to call it Title VII. They keep changing the numbers on me on title. But our Title VI program, Ms. Sproul has the help of another tutor so that she can get around to all the elementaries. I met with her recently, and she's got that up and running again. It's going well. We're adding supports for English language learners, pre-K, early childhood special education, like you heard, an early warning system. I wish I could just talk about this, but I don't want you to have to drive in terrible weather either. So I'm going to keep it a little shorter maybe than I normally would for your sakes. I wanted to touch on some data points, and the first one is a positive. There's a lot of positive, but this one's particularly obvious. Just when you look at the graphic, this is our attendance rates. Last year, throughout the year, I updated the board on attendance rates. I chose board meetings, and you can see obvious growth. I just ran today's before I came, and I didn't get a chance to update the graphic. Today was 94%, again, very much on par or on pace for some of the other attendance rates, even though our weather today was dicey. So attendance rates have certainly improved since COVID was really negatively impacting our attendance. Here's just a snapshot of some of the data we have. This is district level data, but you can drill down to building or student level data. This is the results of our SEL screener that I mentioned. And all buildings, grade levels are at or above average overall for the results of this screener. You can see the different categories below. Very, I guess what you would say standard practice for social emotional learning components. Follows CASEL's 5 core competencies, which we actually used to build the SEL program that Aaron spoke about. So very well aligned to some of that programming. We're working through strategic planning with Marisa, lots of trainings, lots of PD, certainly MTSS. I would say if you wanted to focus on any 2 components, it would probably be social perspective taking and self-control, which were a little bit more, I guess, if anything caught your eye, it would be those 2 components based on the graphic. 25% for social perspective taking and 19% for self-control. Kids that maybe didn't indicate that they were average or above average. And so those would be focus areas. By the way, this is grades K through 3 if you did not see that. Grades 4 through 8, similar trends, lots of positive data. There was if you look under the overall SEL, about 32% did score below or well below average, and that's of course a concern for that contingent. So, but again, at a building level, as the ladies were speaking about teams, so at the building level, you heard a little bit about what these meetings look like as far as how MTSS operates at a practical level, and they were talking about reviewing data. Now we have data beyond academics that they can use when they're targeting resources or they're flagging kids that need those resources. So, well, moving on. High school. High school kids are always interesting to survey with these types of skills. I always wonder if they're, if girls, you can speak to this. I wonder how they approach these surveys. The results are very fascinating to me. So relationship skills, responsible decision making. Having been a high school teacher, I know a lot of those kids aren't always batting 1,000, and yet, you see some of these results and you wonder, okay, are you being honest here? But overall, very good.
That is correct.
Yes, I'm just going to leave it at that. Girls, you know what I'm saying. Okay, so we have advisories, we have MTSS. We're implementing a program or some software called Munetrics, where we're going to be able to hopefully soon speak to Skyward so that we can pull some non-academic data, attendance, grades, behavior into those conversations. much like they're doing at the elementary. But at the high school level, there's not as many assessment tools that are pertinent. It's just a different arena entirely at the high school. Their MTSS is going to look a little bit different. So I think this SEL screener could pay huge dividends for them as they further implement. So lots of academic supports, after school tutoring, some other things that we've already mentioned, and I'm going to leave that alone for now. I talked about Munetrics. This is a snapshot of some of what I can do with Munetrics. This is just 3 classes, current 11th graders, 10th graders, and 9th graders. And you can see some trends. You can see trends in their overall score that are increasing, which obviously makes sense. As they get older, their scores are going to increase. But then you can see trends in their growth. That bottom graphic is their growth percentile. And you can see that, you know, certainly with COVID and, you know, the transition from 18-19 to 2021, we didn't have 19-20, of course, because we didn't do the M-STEP in 19-20. You can see some trends that are concerning, but also some optimism in, like when looking at the class of 26, our current 9th graders, and how they're starting to that upward projectile again. So anyway, I just thought this data was interesting. It's something that I use in my data review that I use when meeting with other central office building administrators, etc. So I won't get into a lot. Overall, all groups listed are improving, but you know, you can see some dips in their rate of growth. And that, as a math teacher, is kind of fun to get into some of those trends. Former math teacher. This is also done with Munetrics. These are district trends. Now I'm actually able to, for the first time in my educational career, without generating all these spreadsheets myself, I'm able to actually look at longitudinal data. This used to take hours and hours and hours of generating reports and plugging numbers into a spreadsheet and then making your own graphs. So you can see your standard fall to spring dip. Don't get too concerned when you see that, if you will, like 2 sides of a triangle where it's up and down again over the course of 3 testing periods. That's your, not fall to spring, excuse me, your spring to fall, the summer regression, if you will, that happens. You can see those overall trends that, you know, as the school year goes on, you see improvement. And then the good news is overall from fall of 18, which is your far most left point, to fall of 22, your far right point, you can see an overall increase, and you could follow those lines to see an overall increase. But we certainly have some trends that are concerning, not just with spring to fall, but obviously with COVID, some really big dips when you're going through the COVID era. And I just, you know, we can obviously with more time drill down further, but I just wanted to share some of what we're doing. The summer enrichment program certainly is I think going to help address some of those regressions that I mentioned in the summer. Overall though, I still see progress. So yes.
Are those the tiles or the grades?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's a graph.
Know your audience. So anyway, I really would be happy to jump into these. These can be live documents that I can manipulate with more time. I'm going to just give you a snapshot. You're going to see trends, okay? This is math. As I scroll through, just notice the trends. As you move from left to right, you can see improvement. And then that year of spring 1920, there's nothing obviously with COVID, and then see the regression again that I talked about before. And I just want you to look, I'll go quick. It's very clear, again, this is math, as you move through the grades, how much, I guess I don't have data to prove it was COVID, but it's pretty obvious to me as you look through these trends. And I noticed it more with math than reading. I'm going to do reading here in a second. First of all, at a district level, reading has similar trends than that math had as far as the spring to fall regression. Again, summer break, you know, tends to negatively impact scores. But then overall, still from fall of 2018 to fall of 2022, there's certainly an improvement. But when you go through reading, you're going to notice that there's patterns, but they're not as stark. So one of the obvious takeaways from this data review is I really do think as a district we already are working with our instructional coaches and our administrators to address math specifically in our curriculum planning, working with our curriculum groups, how we're targeting resources, certainly through MTSS. We will see patterns. Now there is certainly grades where it drops, but overall you'll see that reading, it's not as stark as math when it comes to that impact. So I don't know what that means exactly about what those kids were doing when they're at home or how we set up our programming, during those weird COVID years where there was. Yeah.
Nobody's going home and doing math. They might be going home and reading. No, I'm serious.
It's true.
Reading is something a lot of our kids do in their free time. Math.
Yeah.
Did anybody get a math book for Christmas?
All of those are, I think they're all very valid conjectures, and I wouldn't disagree with any of them. I think some folks predicted that COVID was going to have more of an impact on math and reading, and I think we're seeing that play out. So anyway, that's just a little bit more, and then I don't think I need to tell the board again what my plan is as far as MTSS. We're trying to model what we're asking our buildings and teachers and other staff to do. District level data review, building level data review, talking about some of our work with curriculum, talking about our assessment system. We're piloting some new assessment tools, FastBridge, Munetrics, in the process of developing an MTSS process guide, and that's about as brief as I can make it for you. So I think we're certainly doing a good job at addressing a very difficult problem, and we have a system in place. We have some great folks who are on board at the central office level, at the building level. You heard a little bit of that tonight, and would just, I guess, quickly, or if you have any questions, entertain any questions.
Do you know anybody that's looking at a specific impact on students who either had a death in the family due to COVID or had a serious illness in the family due to COVID? Because I would imagine it's got to be a contributor to the numbers, and it also tells us a little bit about. There's a cost to having limited kids' access to school or closing schools, or whatever, but that would give us a better idea of some of the benefits, because had we kept it open, a lot more people had died. That would certainly show a regression as well. So, do you know anybody that's looking at that specifically?
Not at a macro level, at a micro level with these meetings that we're having, because we have access to some more of this data. If you picture an MTSS meeting where your flagging system, your early warning system is flagging Johnny, or let's just use Glenn for the sake of argument. And so you flag Glenn, and you notice this huge dip in his scores, right? And you notice it, right from 1920 to 2021. And you're wondering, well, what could have possibly happened? And as you dive down, you see his attendance. Well, his attendance fell off in February, and then you dive down further and you see his screener, and these screeners indicating that there's some warning signs in his screener that he's experiencing some trauma or something in his life. And ultimately, the system should help you not only identify that Glenn had something happen in his life at that particular point in time, but also what is that menu of resources that are available to help support him be successful.
Because in order to inform policy, it would be good to kind of know, that losing somebody to COVID also has that negative impact. It's not simply not being able to get to school, it's also having that trauma in your life. And because one of the justifications for limiting school with masks after closing the school was it could help save lives. And
sure.
Certainly that has an educational benefit as well as just a human kind of benefit.
Right.
I'd love to see that if somebody's looking at that.
Yeah, well, if I see
Don't start a national study. I'm curious if you come across it.
It would be an interesting one. when I'm driving around tomorrow at 3 a.m. if you want to talk it over a little bit more.
Do that.
So anyway, that's all for my presentation. I just have one more item. Just a quick projects update. On your agenda, you'll see a couple of projects for your consideration. One is the elevator project at Grave Red. I think we heard a little bit about that from our executive committee update. Our Grave Red elevator has been on the list for quite some time. I think it's under 11F. And in the packet, you should see a bid summary. You did not have that bid summary before. Really, the two things that we were waiting for from Otis Elevator was we needed them to specify that they had bonding built into their bid, just basically protect us as far as liability. And then also there was a contingency that we asked for, and just for incidentals throughout the project. And they identified a couple of what incidentals or likely incidentals, which I don't even remember off the top of my head, but pretty, yep. Yeah, I mean, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, 4 if you include the basement. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We bid it twice, came back the first time about the same amount, so we bid it a second time, seeing if there's any other, and yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
We should get that elevator moved.
Yeah, yeah, it should, yeah, gold-plated elevators coming your way at Grave Rat. I believe so. Can you speak to that? Contingency built into the bid?
I don't know if that was included or not. I can get clarification.
We'll get clarification on that. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it does say
This-
including the contingency.
The second, any other questions on the elevator? I'm sorry. I know. And I think we spoke about that in committee. I was too. I just don't know what else. The elevator is in dire need of repair, and so I agree. So if you've driven by our bus garage recently, you'll notice that it's in pretty rough shape, and I would say unsightly. And we're working on we're more than working. I am recommending that we award the painting project to Superior Painters for $37,300. And I should probably tell the audience the reason we were engaging a little bit here on the side. The elevator project was roughly $300,000. So the painting project, $37,000, and that's not just painting. That's tuck pointing, repairing, patching, painting, all that is involved in doing it professionally. So I don't know, because of supply chain issues, contractor availability. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, but I'm hoping we can get these done summer of '23. We're also going to replace the windows in the bus garage, because if you're going to do that much work on the building, you might as well replace the windows, and they're in pretty rough shape as well. Any other questions from the board?
Elevator was sinking funding.
Yes. Yep, that was identified early on as a sinking fund project. Yes, definitely. Actually, I think we're gonna be able to use the bus, probably gonna be able to include the bus garage and sinking fund dollars as well. That was a long superintendent report. My apologies.
That was good.
Okay then,
I thought it was unmuted, sorry.
Green is go.
Huh?
green is go. Did anybody miss anything from? Thank you. I understand that. Okay, so anyway, I have a motion to approve the Neola policies.
I would support that.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion on those policies? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business. Item A. Considered overnight and extended trips for MSHS for 22-23, as Amanda brought to our attention.
I'll make a motion that we approve the overnight extended trip schedule for 22-23.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item B. Consider the snow removal bids that are in our packets.
I'll make a motion to accept or award the bid to Smith Paving as presented in the packet.
Okay, we got a motion and support. Any discussion on the bids? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now consider the updated MAPS substitute rates in your packets.
Make a motion to approve the updated 2022-23 substitute rates.
Support.
Got a motion and support. Any discussion on those rates? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider the adoption of the annual summer tax resolution as presented during appropriations.
I'll make the motion that we adopt the annual tax resolution.
Support.
Got a motion and support. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item E, consider naming a United Way of Marquette County a charitable solicitation organization for 22-23.
I'll just keep it going. I'll make the motion that we make United Way. Sorry, for 2022-23.
Support.
When it comes to comment, I do have a comment about that, so super quick one.
Okay.
Which is just that in case anybody, because nobody ever does, but if anybody ever wants to make a recommendation for a second or third option, anybody could always make that suggestion. So we only ever end up adopting United Way for it, but just throwing it out there if somebody has a suggestion for us, we'll gladly entertain that. So.
And I've had to recuse in the past, but I'm no longer on the United Way board, so I wouldn't be.
You do the job.
Is that, yeah, good. Are they happy with that? Okay. All right, we got a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item F, consider acceptance of the bid award for Gray Barrett Elementary School Elevator Improvement Project as presented.
That was not me. Making the motion.
Was your phone?
R2D2.
I will make the motion that we accept the bid for the Gray Barrett Elementary School elevator improvement project.
I'll support.
Okay, got a motion and support. Any discussion? We know it was too expensive, but that's not our fault. We have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, consider acceptance of the bid award for the bus garage painting project. It's long overdue.
Sound like a motion? I will make the motion that we accept the bid for the garage painting project.
Thank you again.
Because my grandpa was bus driver.
Okay, you got a motion to support. Any discussion?
Does he still want to drive a bus?
It would be very Halloween if he did, because he's been gone for 25 years.
Hey, we may get to that level at this point, you never know.
That's right. Well, we'll take anything these days. Okay.
If you're happy to see him, let me know.
All right.
He owes me for the funeral expenses.
We'll bring that up, please.
We have motion and support. Any discussion on those bid? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have comments from the public from Caitlin Jensen? Oh, you did it during your thing, like you said you were gonna do that. Okay, we're good to go, Caitlin. Thank you very much. Okay, gifts and bequests. We had the donation of school supplies by Range Bank. Very nice. Thank you, Range Bank. Board member comments. Ms. Wright. Mrs. Gambenzi.
I think most of the Superior Hills folks left, but wanted to thank them for having us here. All three of my kids went through Superior Hills, so it's always fun to come back and visit. So that's it.
Mr. Hewitt.
I'll just add welcome to the board, to our school representatives. So thanks for being here.
Mrs. Klipp.
None, thank you.
Dr. Cherry.
Just welcome to our new student reps. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And Mr. Sarka.
There we go. No, I wanted to thank Nicole because she was at the end of a line of teachers who were thanking the people before them and saying how important they were in the building, and nobody got up behind her and said, Nicole's also important to the building. I was also surprised because when I got my little card, there were two things that surprised me. First, she was talking about the kid who wrote cake and how proud she was. Mine says Schwarzwald the Kirschtorte, so she must be doing a really good job with those kids. And it's really clear. The other thing that kind of scared me, and this is kind of, when you go to a magic show, right, and you pick your card and then they go through all this stuff and they say, and was it a Queen of Hearts? And you're like, oh my God, I had a Queen of Hearts. I got this picture and this is clearly me. So whoever did that is a very good artist, and that's how I feel today. So other than that,
Okay, so tune in next month for the Glenn Sarka Show. It's always entertaining. Okay, I will agree with welcome to two students, and thank you for being here, and thank you for taking this on. This is, yeah, it's a good experience. You'll enjoy it, I think. And this is wonderful to be here at Superior Hills again. You know, it's nice to be moving around, and I'm glad we're here. Thank you very much. Announcements and other meetings. We have October 25th, a spooktacular concert at Kaufman Auditorium at 6:30. If you've never attended that, it's very entertaining. October 31st, professional development is a half day for students. On November 9th and 10th, we have K-12 parent-teacher conferences. November 9th, K-5 will be a half day. November 10th and 11th will be K-12 half day. November 17th through 19th is MSHS musical performances at Kaufman, 7 o'clock. November 21st, a board meeting at Graverette next time in the cafeteria. So it's at 5:30. Hope you'll be there. Okay, I'm going to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Never.
My mindful moment was going to be never start a land war in Asia and never go up against